Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's, well, fundamental to being human, the power to just start. It's that invisible engine that turns an idea into an actual thing, and we're going to dig into exactly how it works. So let me ask you this, and be honest. Have you ever had a brilliant idea, a goal that was crystal clear, but you just never started? Yeah, we've all been there. It's that super frustrating space between knowing what you want and actually getting up and doing it. And this gap, this wanting versus doing thing, it's not just a little bit of harmless procrastination. It turns out it has a real measurable cost. Yeah, see, some really interesting research from Masacampo and Baumeister found that those unfinished goals, they don't just fade away, they actually take up valuable real estate in your brain. They pop up as these distracting, intrusive thoughts, and get this, they can even make you perform worse on totally unrelated tasks. So not starting isn't neutral. It's actively holding you back. Okay, so how do we close that gap? How do we get from wanting to doing? Well, the answer is a really powerful psychological tool called self-initiation. Think of it like the bridge that finally connects what we intend to do with what we actually do. Now, to really get self-initiation, we have to start with this idea of volitional action. It sounds kind of fancy, but it's a simple and honestly a really powerful concept. It just means any action you take on purpose. It has to meet two criteria. You planned it, and, crucially, it has to be started by you. And that brings us to the real hero of our story today, self-initiation. This is the spark. It's that exact moment you decide to go from just thinking about something to actually doing it. And it's not just about starting. It's about you choosing when and how to start. It's about taking control right from the very first step. So what's really fascinating here is that self-initiation isn't just for stuff you're already passionate about. I mean, sure, it's easy to start learning guitar if you just love music. That's internal motivation. But the real superpower is developing what's called internalized motivation. That's when you take a goal from the outside world, maybe one you don't naturally love, like studying math, and you make it your own because it helps you get something you really want, like getting into your dream college. And this idea, man, it completely flips how we think about what drives us. Instead of just being a product of our past experiences, this concept, it's called teleologic thinking, suggests that we are pulled forward by our vision of the future. We look ahead, we see the possibilities, and that vision is so compelling it pulls us into action right now. So if self-initiation is what we're aiming for, what's the opposite? Well, it's a state called outer directedness. This is basically when you're just waiting for a prompt, for an order, for some kind of signal from the outside to tell you what to do, instead of tapping into your own ability to figure things out. And the consequences of living in that state, they're pretty significant. When you're constantly relying on those external cues, you obviously have a lack of initiation. You become a less effective problem solver, and it's even linked to doing worse in school. It creates this whole cycle of dependency, where you're just always waiting for someone to tell you the next step. But here's the good news. Self-initiation isn't some magical trait you're either born with or you're not. Nope, it's a skill. And it's a skill that we develop over time, starting when we're really, really young. I mean, this whole journey starts so early. At just 9 months old, infants are already forming expectations about what's going to happen next. By 3, toddlers get the difference between now and not now. A year or so later, they can put things in order. And by 10 or 11, kids have the basic toolkit they need to plan. This all builds up to adolescence, where they can really explore all those complex what-if scenarios to map out the future. Okay, so we know what self-initiation is, we know how it develops, but how do we actually encourage it? In ourselves, in our kids, in our teams at work? And this is absolutely crucial. Developing this skill isn't just about pure individual effort. The environment you're in plays a massive role. The real goal is to create what researchers call autonomy supportive environments. Basically, places where self-initiation is not just allowed, but encouraged to grow and flourish. So, how do you build an environment like that? Well, it comes down to these key things. You got to encourage choice and then actually support people when they take that initiative. You help them learn to manage themselves. You give them clear goals, and this is a big one, you respond in a positive way when they do take that first step themselves. And you know what? We can also teach this stuff directly. For anyone who really struggles with getting started, this 5-step framework is so powerful. You can teach them how to break down a project into those very first tiny steps. You can help them recognize the right moment to act, what to pay attention to, and build their confidence that, hey, if they take a shot, their efforts will be supported and seen. And the payoff for all this? It's huge. It's not just a small thing. People who have higher levels of self-initiation report greater job satisfaction and just a higher sense of well-being overall. We're talking stronger relationships, better coping skills, more motivation to learn. I mean, the benefits touch on pretty much every part of life. So, in the end, the power to begin isn't about waiting around for the perfect moment or for some magical bolt of motivation to strike. It's about seeing the future you want and having the courage to take that first, self-directed step toward it. So the only real question left is, what future are you ready to initiate?